We're now going to take our corresponding parts of congruent shapes to be able to figure out something about those shapes. Specifically, this question asks us to find the values of x and y. And we've got x's and y's in our expression right here, so we're going to have to set up some equations from our corresponding parts and solve them. We have MNP, this triangle right here, is congruent to TUS, the second triangle right here, so we know that this side right here, 2x minus y, is congruent to this side, which is 13. That M stands for meters, so I don't need to include that in my equation when I set it up. But I know that 2x minus y is equal to 13. Now this has an x and a y. I won't be able to solve for the specific values without more information, so let's use some of the other parts to find some extra information. Right here we have 2x minus 50, and the corresponding angle for u is n. That's over here, and I don't know what that angle is in this triangle, but I do know these other two angles are 142 degrees and 24 degrees right there. Using those two angles, I can figure out the measure of that third one. I know that 142 plus 24 plus the measure of this angle n is equal to 180. So 142 plus 24 is 166, plus the measure of angle n is equal to 180. Let's subtract that 166 to figure out that our measure of angle n equals 14 degrees. So this angle right here equals 14 degrees. I now have the measure of the corresponding part for this. So let's give myself some room here and set up our second equation. That's 2x minus 50, this angle right here. 2x minus 50 is equal to this angle over here, which is 14 degrees. All right, now this is something I can solve for x. When I'm done with that, I'll put that x value up into here, and I'll finish solving for y, and then we'll be finished. So let's add the 50 to both sides here. Add 50. We get 2x equals 64. Divide by 2 to find out that our x is equal to 32. Awesome. Let's plug that up into here. So we get 32 for our x. That will give us 2 times 32 minus y equals 13. 2 times 32 is 64 minus y equals 13. Let's subtract that 64. And we get negative y equals negative 51. Divide by negative 1 to get rid of that negative, and we're left with y equals positive 51. So our value for x is 32, our value for y is 51, and we're finished with this question right here. Let's take a look at one more. Our next question asks us to show that these two polygons right here are congruent to each other. So we have these with markings that indicate various congruent sides. We need to make sure that each side here has a congruent side over there, and each angle here has a congruent angle over there. So let's start right here. This side is congruent to that side, so there's one pair. This side is congruent to there. This is congruent to that. This one is congruent to that, and this one is congruent to that. So each side here is congruent to a unique side over there. Let's go through the angles. This angle is congruent to here. This means they're 90 degrees. This single arc means that it's congruent to here. This double arc means it's congruent to there. Single arc means it's congruent to here, and 90 degrees right there. So each side has a unique congruent side in this shape, and each angle from here has a unique congruent angle from this shape. So by corresponding parts of congruent polygons, these two are congruent. We'll write our statement. Say this is VWXYZ. So VWXYZ is congruent to JKLMN, JKLMN. Make sure that you follow the order of the congruent parts the same way that you did throughout the shape. Thank you.